What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here for the Sunday weekly video. Little recap of news, little market thoughts, just the usual stuff that we do here on the weekly Sunday sports card market update, whatever you want to call this thing to be permanently named one day. Not a ton of news stuff this week that I thought popped up that we haven't already discussed in previous videos that I think I need to really circle back on. The really big things this weekend, a couple things, I guess. And I'm not going to dive into this, but we're starting to see the grading companies announce their plans for on-site grading at the National. If that's your thing, PSA drop-offs, express lines, this, that, and the other thing. That's not really my shtick. I don't really want to go to the National to stand around and wait in line to grade cards. I did the video on Friday about cards that make sense for the $18 grading. I got some questions if I was going to mail those off or if I'm dropping those off while I'm there. My plan is to actually mail those in. I don't want to deal with whatever situation they have set up there. And maybe it's nice, clean, and easy. But to be frank, I would rather mail them in and have them get in line before all those people's cards. That's just my thought process. So I'm going to ship mine. It's not that expensive to ship because they're not going to be super high dollar cards. Anyways, it'll be like $10 to ship it to California. So I'm going to send those off probably right before the National. I'm still trying to gather up enough cards to meet the 20 card minimum at about 10 right now as I've worked my way through that pile of raw sapphire that I had laying around. Another thing regarding that video with the $18 grading and cards that make sense, I didn't think of this because I'm not in that market at all, like full stop at all. But a lot of people in the comments were saying prospect young guns in hockey. Like, I don't want to say low end, but like under the radar guys, people that like your pet project, someone that you like, you're prospecting on or whatever. But a lot of people in the comments of that video were like, this makes perfect sense for Young Guns hockey. And once again, that could 100% be the case. Enough people said it that I'm willing to take their word for it. Local shows and big shows this weekend. So I didn't travel anywhere. Nationals coming up, but Dallas was this weekend and Nashville was this weekend. Both pretty hefty shows. Obviously, Dallas is Dallas. But then the Nashville show was 400 and some tables. Curious, anyone that attended either one of these shows, give me a vibe check in the comments down below. How were things going if you were a dealer set up? How was it if you had a local show? Vibe check. That's what we're gonna have like a Sunday vibe check every week, which is how local show circuits are going for y'all. And if you went to a big show or whatever. So if you were at Dallas, Nashville, or a local show, in the comments down below, where were you, dealer or shopper? And then, what was the situation? People priced correctly, overpriced, whatever. I talked to some people on Dallas. I've had mixed reviews, honestly. I've heard from a couple people that said traffic was light for a Dallas show. It was still busy, but by Dallas standards, it was a little light. And then the same kind of thing of dealers that are priced correctly at current price levels are moving cards. Dealers that are way over comps, a little bit of a different story. Once again, kind of the tale of two shows as we like to talk about it here. I was at my local show today in Canton, Ohio. Very busy. Started kind of slow, but after about an hour in, I kind of like looked up and looked around and it was packed. I did not find anything. Let me rephrase. I did not buy anything. I found stuff that I wanted, but the pricing was just so outrageous. Someone had a stack of First Bowman prospects, Sapphire, and some like Mojo refractors that are literally on eBay for $6 with 99-cent standard envelope shipping. And Sapphire base of Valera, the one prospect that I've been buying, you could get his stuff for $12 to $15 shipped on eBay. And the dealer wanted $50 for the base Sapphire and $25 for the Mojo refractors, which you could get for $6 on eBay. I'm like, I'll buy these all. I'm not even asking for a discount. I'll pay the full eBay comp if you're willing to do that. And he's like, nah, I move them at this price. And I was like, not to me, don't. So that stuff just frustrates me. It's like you're there and you want to shop, and it's not my place, I guess, to tell someone how to price their cards. It's not at all, not I guess. But it's just frustrating when I want to buy the card and I'm willing to pay you like what they're actively going for on eBay. And this isn't like some super high-end rare card. These are base, in Sapphire's case, actual base cards. And the Mojo refractors are pretty reasonably cheap as well. Those are not rare. They're readily available cards. It's not like it's something that's super low pop or super rare, and they want to take like 10% off of their already absorbent sticker price. So that was a little frustrating, but it is what it is. I kind of expect that. There's, half the room, once again, just like most shows, half the room is willing to work at current prices. Half the room is still stuck in February 2021. So is what it is. What are you going to do? So no pickups from the local show. So I am on eBay scouring down looking for cards to potentially send in for grading and see how that goes. But like I said, yeah, vibe check down below in the comments with what you saw at either Dallas, Nashville, or your local show. We're 2 weeks out from the National, 2 weeks from the time you're listening this. Everyone will be out of money, out of patience, and hopefully out of Atlantic City, safe and sound. But yeah, we're less than 2 weeks to go. It's crazy. I have a lot of prep stuff I need to do between now and then. Let's go ahead and dive into some charts, graphs, numbers, the whole 9 yards here. We're going to start with gem rate and Prism Football again. I did this update last week. Once again, I've been kind of tracking Prism Football and how it's getting graded with the various companies. Now, for the purposes of this, we're just looking at total graded. We're not doing like a deep dive. However, if I've thought about doing this, it'll take a little bit of work. I don't know when it'll be up. I'll have to research it, and I'm not going to do it unless there's a lot of interest for it. If you guys and girls are interested in not like a super deep dive, but a more broken down version of this rather, like where I look at PSA and I say, here's the of this. So there's 1,751 cards graded with PSA so far on Prism Football. Break that down to this is how many are base, this is how many are autographs, this is how many is like some sort of parallel, silver, numbered, or whatever. I'm not going to go that detailed, but like, so base, autograph, parallel, insert, or something like that. And do that with each company to kind of give us an idea of what sort of cards are going to what place. I don't know if there's anything interesting in there or if it would all break down to pretty even or not. I really don't know. But if you guys and girls are interested in something like that, let me know down below. And if I have time this week, I'll sit down and try to deep dive it and put it in a spreadsheet or something like that, at least very loosely. Like I said, it won't be a super crazy deep dive, but let's run through these really quickly. I'm recording this Saturday evening. I don't think GemRate has updated yet today. So this probably does not have Friday's data in it yet. It does say updated 7/16, but these are the same numbers that were there this morning when I checked it. So maybe he has, maybe he hasn't. I don't know, but at minimum, we're all the way through Thursday and probably some of Friday. I don't know if Friday/Saturday are in here yet, but we have Prism Football, PSA, 1,750 total graded with a 26% gem rate. Second place, SGC with 1,385 total graded with a 29% gem rate. So SGC actually grading them, I hate to say the word easier, but their gem rate is higher, which once again is surprising because SGC has the 9.5 and PSA doesn't. So it seems like PSA is actually grading Prism Football a little bit tougher. Once again, maybe if we do the splitting the numbers out a little bit, we see a little bit of a different story there with a reason why. Next up, third place, we have CSG. They have graded so far 235 total cards with a 20% gem rate. That gem rate has climbed up a little bit. It was in the teens when we first started doing this. And then last but not least, Beckett, good old Beckett, 51 total cards graded, 37% gem rate. Once again, very high gem rate on them because of the whole min gem, true gem, min gem plus, all the gem nonsense that you can kind of wiggle your way around when it comes to grading with Beckett with the way that their scale is set up. You could kind of get a little loosey goosey with it. But only 51 total cards graded out of 21 football. Once again, that one is a little concerning in my opinion. It just kind of shows once again, and the point of this exercise isn't so much who's the best grader, who's the worst grader, who resales for the most. It's who has the demand at present. And once again, these numbers are going to shift a ton as we move deeper and deeper in, and some of the slower services start getting added to the back or added to the pop counts. So we'll kind of see how this evolves. That's the whole purpose of kind of keeping track of this week over week. I also have access to the basketball numbers, but there's obviously Prism Basketball just came out this past week. So there's not enough graded stuff yet. Just very, very few things have even hit the pop report. But that is something that we will keep an eye on as well. Probably do a check-in on that maybe like after the National and see kind of where that stuff sits. Digging into some actual charts and graphs, market movers, link in the description down below. Baseball, the big news out of the baseball world is I am recording this post the Juan Soto trade request. Of course, I sell my Soto refractors right before he requests trade. Whoops. Bad timing on that one, but it is what it is. I broke basically even on those on one and a slight profit on the other one. So can't go broke taking a profit. But baseball in general has stayed relatively flat. This is a 14-day look at the Market Pulse charts. Ultra Modern is up 1.3%. Modern is up 0.8%. Just loosely speaking, card price wise, Ohtani stuff is still on the upward swing for the most part. Soto stuff has been rebounding because one, he's been white hot. He's on like a 14-game hitting streak, or was on a 14-game hitting streak. And I have a feeling this trade request, not request, but just the Nationals saying they are going to listen to offers on him. If he gets dealt somewhere, that could potentially really jump his prices up. Because the biggest problem with him was he did have a slow start to the season, but he just was not playing that good on the Nationals. And I don't know how much of that was just the situation around him versus him just being a slow starter. But this late summer or midsummer to late summer, when he gets hot, man, he did the same thing last year, except it was just a little bit later. He got nuclear hot at the end of last season and almost made a case for the MVP. So we'll see what happens with this. This is, him and Kevin Durant both wanting trades, basically two of the biggest stars in their respective sports. Potentially getting traded would be wild times. So we'll see what happens with that and with his card prices on where those go from there. Football, we're going to look at Prism again, Prism Silvers again for the new class. Generally speaking, football continues to be hot, as in liquid, but prices aren't soaring. If you go in and look at Herbert, Burrow, Allen, those guys are moving. Jalen Hurts is getting a little buzzy. Those sorts of guys are definitely moving. You can move them extremely easy. They're in demand. When I was at Card Collector 2 trade night, those were the names getting asked for. I talked to some dealers at Dallas. Football in general was the thing everyone was looking for. I don't know if they were looking to actually own it or if they were looking at take it all to the National to try to sell there. That I don't know. But football continues to be the most liquid market, but the prices aren't soaring up the board. They're staying steady to slightly increasing. You can see Ultra Modern Football is actually down 3.5% over the last 14. But Modern Football is actually up 6.4%. Some of that is based off of some Mahomes movement. Once again, he really swings the Modern chart quite a bit. If his prices go up a little bit, it lifts the whole index up because this stuff's so expensive. So I always want to note that, to keep that in mind. But that's kind of where football is at. It continues to be the most liquid thing in the market, but prices aren't going crazy for it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens at the National. Everyone's getting football to take to the National to sell it and to trade it. So is there going to be enough people there with open arms to accept the glut of football inventory at the National? I know, and I don't have a ton of football cards left. I have one Burrow, one Herbert, and some random Baker Mayfield stuff. I'll be looking to move all that stuff at the National. If I come home with football that isn't Jim Brown, I did something wrong. And that's not saying that I'm looking for Jim Brown, but that's just saying I don't really want current players heading into the season, unless it's a project quarterback. If you're taking a flyer on, Ian Book or Kellen Mond or whoever, someone that's dirt cheap, Gardner Minshew, whatever, that's a different story. But if you're actually carrying some of these higher priced guys in, that's just not something I want to do. Not my style. You do you if that's what you're into. Prism Silvers, let's just take a run down these really quick. Over the last 14 days, Mac Jones has really pulled away from the pack at 175, basically, for his silver. These have continued to creep down, so I don't think these have hit the bottom quite yet. They'd stabilized for a hot minute, but now they've taken another dip. Probably as more and more Prism retail gets open, there's more and more of this stuff hitting the market. Keep that in mind. Even though these are silvers, still over the last 14 days, 55 Mac Joneses have sold. So these things aren't like that rare. Silvers, I hate to make this statement because I'll get people mad. And maybe this is a video in amongst itself. It's not the first time someone has pontificated this. Silvers are almost like the new base cards, to be quite honest with you. At least how I think of them mentally. Right, wrong, or indifferent. That's just kind of how I view them. Trevor Lawrence is in second at 117. Justin Fields in third at 90, with Trey Lance right there at 85. And then scrolling down here, we have Zach Wilson at 50, Jamar Chase at 45, and Davis Mills at 35. To be honest, the only player on this list that I would really want would be Mills or Wilson. And the only reason why is because they are the cheapest. There's just less stuff baked into the pricing. Not saying these other guys can't be good, but where Mac Jones prices are, it's going to be really hard to sustain that once the season actually starts, in my opinion. We'll see. He might be a really good quarterback. I don't know if he's really going to be a really good card quarterback. If he was not on the Patriots, I would love to know what his prices were like. If you switched him and Trey Lance, what would the price difference be there? I think you're paying a lot for the logo on the shoulder and not for the actual person inside the uniform. I could be wrong. I am no football scout or expert. I just don't necessarily super see it with Mac Jones. I'm sure people will get mad in the comments about that, but it is what it is. Basketball. Ultramodern basketball up 5.6%. Modern basketball up 1.2%. This is the one index that's definitely the hottest. We're seeing moves on Zion, on Ja, on Trey, all starting to slightly creep up. I think a lot of people you're kind of seeing are starting to move out of football on the down low and trying to get into basketball. And the charts are kind of reflecting that as basketball is slowly starting to creep up a little bit. We're in the silly season of the offseason. We're going to look at some specific cards on the basketball side. And also on the basketball side, I ran the Prism report for basketball. That's right. Prism has finally released. We don't have retail yet, so just hobby boxes. I fully expect these prices have not come down a ton yet. They will. They most certainly will. They've come down some, but not a lot. Keep in mind, we don't have retail yet. Just hobby boxes are getting ripped right now. And if you thought Prism football was all over the place, wait till you see Prism basketball. They probably printed even more of that if that is humanly possible. It's going to be everywhere. I haven't looked at the checklist to see exactly how much junk is in there compared to Prism football, but I'm sure it's a lot. Let's run down the list really quick. In the number one spot in regards to pricing, and you can see not that many of these have sold yet. Only 8 Cade Silver Prisms have sold. And obviously a lot more than that have been pulled. People are probably sending them off to grading. They're probably stuck in the mail on their way back from breakers to the end user, this, that, or the other thing. So do not buy at these prices. These prices will 100% come down for the next couple months, mostly, at least the next month. It usually takes a full month for this stuff to level off. But you could kind of start to see the hierarchy of how these are going to go. Cade is number 1. Jalen Green is number 2 at 285. Caden at 300. Sorry about that. Evan Mobley right behind Jalen Green at 250. Scotty Barnes at 220. Jonathan Kuminga at 190 seems a little high to me. Josh Giddey at 135. James Moody at 120. And then IU all the way down at 63. We see a pretty big drop off then there. And then you kind of get into the other guys, Alfred Sengun, Davion Mitchell, Bones Highland, Jalen Suggs. Cam Thomas is missing on this list. I'd let them know already. His stuff did not populate, and he's sitting at about $50. Herb Jones, so on and so forth. And then you kind of get into the more flyer guys. Up at the top, I don't know that I necessarily, I mean, I don't like the number. I'm just talking the ranking in regards to who is priced the highest to lowest out of at least the top guys. I don't think I have a major issue with this. I actually think I like Giddey more than Kuminga from a card perspective. Kuminga seems kind of high. I think that's Warriors stuff baked in. He's interesting, but I think he'd be a really long-term hold. So there's going to be times you could just buy him way, way cheaper. Giddey will get some hype because he's actually going to play. That's the biggest problem with Kuminga and Moody. They're not actually going to play that much. So I expect their prices to come way down. Giddey's going to be on the court, so he's actually going to be putting up numbers. So there's a chance that, his prices actually stay up a little bit higher in terms of wanting to buy into these guys. Jalen Green closed really strong. Evan Mobley, obviously, I'm a huge fan of as a Cavs fan. I thought Scotty Barnes would get a little bit more respect at 220 coming off the Rookie of the Year, and he looks really, really good. Long story short, a lot of people are not a fan of this 21 draft class. I don't know what the hell they're talking about. This draft class is absolutely loaded. Loaded. These guys are good, and this class is deep. There's a lot of fun pet projects on this list, too, that we either quickly mentioned or did not talk about at all. So we'll kind of see how this plays itself out as time goes on and where these prices end up leveling out at. Next up, two players that I want to talk about, both of which are on the open market. Donovan Mitchell, PSA 10 Silver Prism. Let's look at this. This is a 90-day chart. Going down, going down, going down, going down, going down. Oh, what happened here? What happened right here? Trade request to the moon, baby. I shouldn't say he requested. The Jazz have said that they are going to basically trade Donovan Mitchell. That should be no surprise to anybody at all once the Rudy Gobert trade went down. But his stuff definitely took a spike across the board. His silver's up, his optics are up. Pretty much anything that you look at with his has gotten a bounce from the potential trade. It sounds like right now the Knicks are the leader in the clubhouse. We will see what happens with that, who they give up. My guess is probably 3 or 4 draft picks. Toppin, maybe quickly, something along those lines. I don't think they give up RJ Barrett in the deal for a couple different reasons. But I think it's going to be Toppin, quickly, maybe someone else, and then some number of actual picks and pick swaps going to the Jazz. Anywhere in the number of 3 to 5 would be my guess, but we'll see how it plays out. Knicks have a lot of picks to trade, so they could definitely make a deal. And if he goes to the Knicks, he'll probably get another little bump up. Whether him and Jalen Brunson are actually going to be good in the backcourt together and can stop anybody, who knows? But they would probably be a definite playoff contender. I don't know that they would be a championship contender. But we'll see how they filter out the rest of the roster. And if he actually gets traded there or not. Who knows? The NBA is a wild place and is still being kind of held up by the Kevin Durant sweepstakes. DeAndre Ayton had his offer sheet basically matched by the Suns, so he'll be going back to Phoenix. My guess is he gets traded in season. I don't think they can move him until after January now due to the signing, but we'll see what happens there. I didn't look up any numbers on his stuff since he ended up returning back to the same team. And I don't know that going to the Pacers would have shifted his market that much to begin with. Last but not least, KD. This is his PSA 10 Topps Chrome, and I haven't really looked at this in a while. I didn't realize these got all the way down to $1,200. Whoo-wee, these got cheap. Same thing, though. We see the trade request come out, and his stuff has crept up. It got all the way down to $1,200. It's currently up to $1,600 and slowly climbing. We'll see what happens. Now the rumors are coming out that maybe he doesn't go anywhere, and the Nets just say, sorry about your luck, buddy. Show up to work. This might get drug out. At this point, with Ayton off the board, there's only really 3, and 2 of them are major, and then one's kind of minor. There's whatever happens with Kevin Durant. There's whatever happens with Donovan Mitchell. And like Colin Sexton's the only other guy left out there from a big name. And I'm using some heavy air quotes on big name with him to not sign a restricted free agent tender yet. My guess is he goes back to the Cavs. I've been saying that this entire time. The Cavs really need him, in my opinion. They have, I think it's 17 or 18 million under the luxury tax to give to somebody. That seems perfectly appropriate for a Colin Sexton sized contract. And there's really no other teams that have cap space that he makes sense for. I guess the Pacers could sign him, but that doesn't really make any sense to me for a rebuilding team to go after him. Same with the Pistons. They have the money, but they don't really have the roster that makes sense. Are you really going to take away minutes from Cade and Jaden Ivey? So I think he's going to come back to the Cavs. I think it's just a matter of them figuring out a number. The only thing I can think of is that it's being held up with maybe him potentially involved in a side-in trade with like a 3 or 4 team deal if the Cavs get looped into a KD or Donovan Mitchell deal somehow. I don't know. There was Zach Lowe podcast floated about a Sexton and picks and Isaac Okoro and a couple other things for Donovan Mitchell trade. That was a little intriguing. That would actually be a lot of fun, depending on how many picks they'd have to give up. I'd be down for that, obviously. Mitchell's a massive upgrade. I don't know how him and Garland would play together. I guess they would have Mobley and Allen on the back end for defense, but that part would be interesting. I don't think that's very serious. I think he most likely ends up on the Knicks, so we'll see what happens. That's all I have for you guys and girls today. Like, comment, subscribe, notification bells, the whole 9 yards. You guys and girls know the drill on that by now. Upcoming videos this week. Tomorrow, I think I'm going to post the video. It's already recorded. Of me cracking open the CSG slabs. That video is recorded. Also have a video of ripping Prism Retail. That is also recorded and uploaded. It's just a matter of when that goes up. It'll be sometime this week. And then beyond that, I'm not sure. I should have a grading reveal this week. My CSG order, the Griffey that I sent off, is done and on its way back to me. So I'll probably do a reveal on that and just kind of break down my thoughts on the whole CSG grading process. Kind of what I thought about it in regards to just like submission, the online pizza tracker, the fees, the turnaround times, all that stuff. So we'll probably have a little chat around that at some point in time this week as well. And then I'm not sure what else is going on. We'll see what pops up. I may do that Prism deep dive video if you guys and girls kind of want to see the data breakdown on that. But like I said, subscribe for all that good stuff whenever it gets posted, and we will catch you guys and girls on the next one. Peace.